Good evening, it's meteorologist Michael Fecka. Welcome back to the 9 p.m. all-weather, all-streaming show that we do here every night during the workdays and on weekends. We stream it out to all of our streaming platforms, as well as to Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So if you are joining us from either of those platforms, please feel free to leave us a question or a comment down below. Anything about the forecast or maybe just a general comment. We'll love to read them and we'd love to interact with you guys in the comments section. So we'll go through the forecast here. I'll break down all the details. Obviously, we are on alert here through Tuesday still. Heat index values of up to 105 or possibly even a little bit above that are possible tomorrow and on Tuesday afternoon. That was also possible today. We've been under this heat advisory since yesterday afternoon. Here's a better look at that heat advisory, and it includes most of the tri-state here with the exception of our far eastern counties and a few northeastern counties. But everyone here is under that heat advisory through 7 p.m. on Tuesday, and again, it gets a little bit more hot the further west you go. We're kind of right on the fringe of this kind of heat dome that's building, but we're still caught in the crosshairs there. So got to make sure you're staying cool and hydrated here through the start of the work week. We do have a cold front that's going to be on the way through Wednesday, and that's going to bring us better chances for scattered showers and storms, and that's also going to help cool us back down to around average for the end of the work week. So big things on the way, but let's take a look at what is going on out there right now across the U.S. We've got this area of high pressure that is built in just to our east there, and then we've got this frontal boundary with an area of low pressure tucked into that over the portions of the northern plains, and that's bringing them some scattered showers and thunderstorms. Seeing some thunderstorms light up through Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kansas as well, even up towards Minnesota, as well as Wisconsin. So we are still seeing some action out there, but all quiet here in the tri-state. Taking a closer look at that, we didn't really see any showers bubble up earlier today. Thankfully, we all stayed dry. It was just a nice day. We did have some higher level clouds stream in through the middle of the day, and that actually helped keep our temperatures a little cooler than what I was originally expecting. I was expecting maybe mid-90s here, but we only made it up into the lower 90s for our highs today due to that cloud cover. But areas that didn't see the clouds, right where the edge of the clouds kind of were, they warmed all the way up into the mid-90s. So, if we get a little bit of clouds through the afternoon, through the hottest part of the day, that may just keep things cool enough to where it's a little bit more bearable. But I mean, if you were outside today, it was hot and it was sticky, but it could have been a lot worse. So hopefully that makes it feel a little bit better going into tonight. But looking at our current temperatures, we've cooled down a good bit. We are now sitting in the upper 70s to lower 80s. So 80 here in Evansville, Oakland City, even up towards Mount Carmel. We've got 82 in Grayville, 77 there in Madisonville. That seems to be one of the cooler spots. 75 there out towards Lewisport. And we'll continue to drop down through the 80s and into the mid 70s overnight tonight, so it's going to stay pretty balmy. Our average overnight low is typically in the upper 60s, so this is well above that. Maybe seeing some patchy areas of fog. However, we didn't really see any shower activity today, so not really expecting that to be an issue, but keep an eye out for that on your early morning commute. But once the sun rises, that fog will dissipate, and then we'll be left with mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies once again, very similar to what we've been dealing with for the past several days. Staying mostly dry tomorrow, but again, a stray shower can't completely be ruled out. It is just that hot and humid. We'll top out in the mid-90s. But looking at our hour by hour through the rest of the night tonight, we'll continue to stay quiet, mostly clear, waking up tomorrow morning, perhaps a few stray showers north of the tri-state, but as we get into the afternoon, there's that very isolated chance for a brief little pop-up, so really not expecting much of an impact from anything that happens tomorrow other than it just being hot and humid for you with very little relief. But relief is on the way. It does come in the form of a cold front moving through on Wednesday, so you can see our heat index values up into that danger zone for tomorrow and Tuesday, and then back down into just your typical extreme caution summertime heat for the tri-state. But again, when heat index values are up that high, above 105, that is where you start to run into a lot of issues with heat-related illnesses. Sunstroke, heat cramps, or heat exhaustion is likely, and then of course heat stroke itself is possible with any prolonged exposure and or physical activity, especially if it's outdoors. So I know a lot of people can't really avoid working outside. That's where their jobs are, but I just want to make sure you're packing yourself plenty of water, packing yourself things that you can stay cool with and then have a way to get into an air-conditioned building when you need to take a break. So that we'll be dealing with for Monday and Tuesday. And then there's that rain chance for Wednesday along that leading edge of the cold front. So 30%, it's not huge, but it's still something. But looking at our longer range European model, here's kind of the evolution of that front. We've got a low all the way to our north in the northern plains. That's going to track to the east. This front sags in from northwest to southeast. Starting on Tuesday, out ahead of the front, we could see a few spotty showers and storms. There's about a 20% chance of that in the afternoon, and then better chances for more widespread showers and storms through Wednesday afternoon and into early Wednesday evening, and then maybe a stray shower Thursday before we dry out for the end of the work week and into next weekend. It already looks like we kind of have a good forecast for next weekend as well. But while we're not tracking out any severe weather here in the tri-state, we do have that chance for maybe some locally heavy rainfall, especially with some of those showers and storms that pop up Tuesday or on Wednesday. So we'll keep that in mind, but it does look like that is going to start to shift to the south by the time we get into Thursday. So that threat kind of only lingers with us for the first 2 days of the work week. And then as we get past Wednesday, you'll see temperatures drop down to around average, 88 degrees on Thursday, and then we'll kind of hover right around average or maybe slightly above through next weekend. Friday topping out at around 90, same thing on Saturday, and then it looks like a little bit cooler there for Sunday, 86. But those overnight lows starting to look a little bit more refreshing, down into the 60s as opposed to the mid 70s. So it will start to feel better by the end of next week, and the humidity is also going to start to drop. We'll actually get good relief from it. Rather than just going from stifling to muggy, we'll actually go from stifling down into possibly even pleasant at some points during the day on Thursday, Friday, and possibly even into Saturday. So that is also big news. I know no one really likes the humidity factor in this heat wave, but unfortunately, that comes with the heat. But here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Just to kind of wrap it all up here, we've got that alert in effect tomorrow and Tuesday for high heat and humidity, triple-digit heat index values possible both days up to 105 or a little bit above that are possible. And then more showers and storms possible on Wednesday, but that is actually going to help cool us down as we head towards the end of the work week, topping out at around average 88 on Thursday and then 90s for the end of the work week. And then moving on to areas outside the tri-state, just because, you know, we like to track things here that aren't just impacting us on the weather show. We go all around here. And of course, we've been talking about this for the last few days. If you remember, I believe it was Friday night, we were looking at Hurricane Erin. It was a Category 1, and then I woke up Saturday morning and it was a Category 5 hurricane. So it blew, rapid intensification standards out of the water. It has come back down to a Category 3. Thankfully, it's now nearing some islands there, and we've got some hurricane warnings in effect for some of those areas you see in the orange. But right now, Erin is a Cat 3. And wind speeds are at around 125 miles per hour sustained, and it's moving west-northwest at around 13 miles per hour with a central pressure of 946. So that is pretty low. Definitely can still strengthen here. It's still expected to reach Category 4 strength again by the time we get into tomorrow, maybe even on Tuesday as a 140 mile per hour storm. And then as it tracks northward away from the warmer waters into the North Atlantic, it's going to start to fizzle out and weaken and then head off into the North Atlantic there and kind of get sucked up as a post-tropical storm. So it's not really expected to make landfall anywhere, which is perfect. It kind of slid right in between Bermuda and the Carolinas. You know, if there's going to be a place for a hurricane to go, I mean, we'd like it to not happen, but at least it kind of squeezed its way right in between any land. So not expecting a landfall there, but it is going to cause some rough surf and some rip currents along the East Coast for next week. So if you're going to be traveling out there, you're planning on going to the beach, keep that in mind. You may have some choppy seas and some windy beaches if you're going out that way for anything next week, especially by Thursday. But looking outside of just tropical or Hurricane Erin, tropical formation as we enter the peak of hurricane season towards the end of October and into the beginning of September, we're going to start to see things heating up here. And the National Hurricane Center has already highlighted another potential storm system that may form. There's a 40% chance of it forming within the next 7 days. And that's coming right off the coast of Africa and going right in through that main development region in the tropical Atlantic. So we'll also have to keep tabs on that through next week. But that is all I have here for the forecast. Let me go ahead and check out the comments for you and see if I can answer any questions. Looks like Jeanette says, good evening. Same thing with Cheyenne. Good evening to you guys. JT says, tropics are more fun to look at when you're not in any immediate danger. Yes, it is always more fun to not be in the path of any hurricanes, and it's even more fun when no one's in the path at all, and it just gets to sit and spin out over the ocean and give those fishies a nice little storm. But yeah, thankfully not seeing that impacting any land. Jeanette says she's not a winter person at all, but I'm over this nasty heat index. I get it. I am not a winter lover by any means. I do love the heat and humidity, but I think at this point in the year, it's getting a little old. So I'm kind of agreeing with you, Jeanette. Teresa is joining us from Charleston, South Carolina. Happy that you're here. Thanks for joining us. Hate this hot weather and humidity. Give me a little bit of snow. I don't like that word, not the S word. That's way too early. We're not talking about that just yet. Been seeing another hurricane coming up to Florida on the Gulf Coast around the 27th. Yeah. If you're going to be, looking at models and whatnot, I know we've got a lot of weather enthusiasts in here. You're going to be wanting to track out anything tropical. In general, you definitely don't want to go too far out in the future. We're sitting on the 17th right now. So the 27th, 10 days away from now. While it is, interesting to see it on the models, you can't completely rule it out. The odds of that happening, very, very low. So I wouldn't get too stressed out about that. But we'll have to keep an eye on it, William, for the 27th. But that is all I'm seeing here in the comments. So I'm going to hop off the live stream, and I'll send you guys over to 14 News at 10 for all the latest news and weather headlines. Until then, everybody, stay safe and have a great rest of your night.